This is episode 208 of Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing with my guests. Yes, two guests, and you know I love two guests, Liz Nowlin and Terry Kerr. They are part of Mid South Homebuyers. Terry is the president. Liz is the director of investor relations. Mid South Homebuyers is the oldest turnkey provider in the U.S., primarily now doing turnkey, I believe, in Memphis and Little Rock. Liz, Terry, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Jonathan. Glad to be here.
Awesome to be here.
Yeah, great to talk to you both. And turnkey was something when I was growing up that I didn't really understand because my dad was just your typical, just buying stuff at yard sales, buying from the courthouse steps. When did you first start in turnkey, and did you start doing something else before you got to that?
Well, I started doing turnkey about 23 years ago, and then actually, it came about at 11 o'clock at night at a gas station
All
when
right.
I bumped into an old friend of mine that I hadn't seen in years, who had been a real estate investor for about 10 years, and I told him what I was doing. And he asked if he could buy a house for me that I was planning on keeping for myself. And I asked him why he would want to buy a house from me when he was doing it himself, and he said he
Yeah.
didn't have enough time. And so ended up selling him several houses, and a business of selling investment property to investors was born.
Yeah, I always love how you say passing on bargains to bargain hunters was the idea. And it's so funny because most of the investors I speak to will talk about their time constraints, their career, and wanting to invest.
Yeah.
And, the business was born from a guy whose wife was saying, I'm tired of you not being home on nights and weekends. And him wanting to keep growing the portfolio. And another little thing about the origin story that I love is that
Yeah.
Terry was creating these properties for himself and then managing them himself. And the way we manage is really, really unique. And that is formed out of him managing for himself, you know?
Right. You were the original solo vertical integration, and now you've taken that and brought it to Mid South. I mean, I know because that's how it works. But it's interesting because, 20 years ago, of course, the internet wasn't the same. It was just maybe bubbling at the time because I remember investing with no internet. So it's not like that was even, was it even called turnkey, or did you just think you were creating a smart business plan?
Oh, it wasn't called turnkey, and it was not a plan. It just evolved, and
A gas
I
station
remember
meet. Yeah.
I remember driving around to real estate agents who then specialized in foreclosures, and picking up paper from each one of their offices. There were about four of them, and then hauling out my map book. And plotting them on a map book,
Yeah.
and very shortly thereafter, obviously GPSs came out. But no, this was a business born out of love and luck, and of course some hard work. But yeah, it was definitely different. 20 some odd years ago.
One of the most interesting things that you just said is that the renter is the primary. In the grand scheme of turnkey, everybody thinks of it as, oh, it's the investor that's most important. You want to make money for the investor, but really finding the right tenant for that property, making sure they're happy, is what makes it a turnkey piece of real estate. The building's good, but not only the building, you need the person inside to be solid as well, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely, and then have the customer service, on the back end, to take care of them, whatever's going on.
Yeah, we definitely serve two distinct customer bases, and we focus on communication with renters,
Yeah.
communication with investors, timeliness of response, clarity, all that stuff. In particular, we ask every renter that comes to us why they're leaving their current landlord, and the answer is my landlord won't fix anything.
Yeah.
Over
Yeah.
and over and over again. And, our average renter stays almost 4 years. So that's about
Wow.
double industry average nationwide. And I think particularly in Memphis, it's so well known to be an investor hotspot
Yeah.
that you have investors, frankly, that overpaid for under renovated property.
Yeah.
They're tired of doing these repairs. They start saying no to them. And then we're really able to take care of them on the human level. Mom calls in a work order on her way to work. When she comes home from work, we fix that hot water heater. She can give her kiddos a bath.
Yeah.
And it makes you stay, and it helps in other subtle ways. It can even help with like rent collection. If somebody's transmission goes out or they miss a shift at work, they can be late on their car payment and their cell phone and stay up to date with their landlord, and then get back on their feet.
It just seems like your company's core values are really, really set up to do good. It's just very, very obvious to me, uh, because everybody seems like, hey, if we do all of these things right, then all parties are going to be happy. And I think where a lot of real estate is failing is it's very one-sided. Everyone's trying to win, their side, when it's like, it's not that big a deal. Like if we all are happy, that's the best solution.
Amen.
And we don't make as much money as some of our friendly competitors, but we feel like it pays off in the long run. We've got an excellent retention rate with investors. We've got an excellent retention rate with our residents,
Yeah.
and then we have a little other vertical integration kind of stuff that allows us to invest more into the property and deliver a top-notch product that's designed to not have repairs like some other houses might. And so, um, we just try to keep the big picture in mind. And when we run across something on a rehab, we're going to fix the property exactly the way we need to fix it. And
Yeah.
we're not going to sacrifice quality over profit margin, which means occasionally you lose a couple of bucks on a house. But yeah.
Yeah.
What you said is just so close to my heart about what we do. Laptop landlords can get some bad rap. There's some bad
Yeah.
press. And
Yeah.
one of my favorite things investors actually ask me is like, hey, what do you think about, the impact? And we are so good for Memphis. We are so good for Little Rock. I can tell
Yeah.
you, we have never taken a home out of the mouth of a first-time home buyer. Our renovation, because our model is all new roof, all new furnace, all new HVAC, all new water heater, all new flooring, all new everything. We buy stuff. No first time home buyers paying $36,000 in cash and putting $75,000 in a rehab over
Yeah.
8 months. One thing that happens on our tours, we do like once a month tours, and I've had like little old ladies shoot out of neighboring houses to hug me because we have taken the eyesore on their
Yeah.
block. We're elevating the property values of the local owner occupants. We're actually adding to the number of affordable, well-managed rentals in our cities. And you just nailed it with like the culture too. Like when we expanded to Little Rock, we actually moved 27 long-term Memphis employees to Little Rock
Yeah.
with their children and family. So we've been in Little Rock for 6 years, but the people walking our houses and doing that stuff has been with us forever. And it is because we're protective of that we're kind of perfectionists, and
Yeah.
we've got a long-term company culture here.
So Liz, from your side, what's the avatar look like for somebody who wants to invest in turnkeys with Mid South Homebuyers? I know you deal with the investors, of course, coming in. Is there an ideal avatar for you? In terms of not, check your camera again. Obviously, it's got to be earning a certain amount and wanting a certain amount of, I guess, a lot off their plate.
Yeah. We have a little bit of everybody. I have certainly super seasoned investors that own hundreds and hundreds of units, and their assistant is practically the one buying the house
Yeah.
from me.
Yeah.
But one that is close to my heart is the one you mentioned, where maybe it's their first real estate purchase, or
Yeah.
they've only owned their own house and they're nervous, and I can kind of hold their hand through the whole thing. And so I have folks that are close to retirement in doing this. I have folks that are 28 in doing this. We have investors in 17 different countries around the world
Wow.
and all 50 states. I have a contingent of Amish investors. I used to fax house information to a county library.
Yeah.
The guy would take his horse and buggy to the county library
Yeah.
to get handed a piece of paper. So truly a great variety and depth. But the newer folks are close to my heart, but we have a little bit of everything. I would say probably 60% of my wait list are existing investors of ours that are coming back for their second to 10th
Yeah.
house. And then another 30 to 40% is, 30 refer their friends, their family, their coworkers.
Yeah.
And then maybe 10% are like podcast listeners.
Yeah.